I've been trying out some new samples this last week or so, and I'm making this video just to give you my impressions of them, including one very popular perfume that was a bit meh for me. Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about some samples that I've tried over the last week and a little bit, including one that I have tried and worn before, so I'm quite familiar with it. I've received several new samples from different sources over the last couple of weeks, and this week I started to include those in my rotation, and I thought I'd choose 5, and these are all relatively well known to a lot of frag heads, and I'm going to give you my impression, and I'll start with the one that I have worn before. In fact, I've done a video about it from years ago, and that is one that I've wanted to revisit for some time, and this is Noir from Tom Ford. I was curious to see what current version is like. I bought a sample. It is the genuine thing, and I wanted to revisit to see what it was like these days. And to be honest, when I wore it earlier this week, it seemed exactly the same as I remembered it. It is definitely probably still my favourite private blend from Tom Ford, and it certainly still has retained the lovely warmth and depth that I remember this particular truffled rose to have. And when I was wearing it, I was enjoying it, and I kept wondering whether this was one that I might eventually get a bottle of. But given that all this time has passed and I still really like it, even though it's probably my favourite rose-dominant perfume, I'm not sure that I actually will ever need a bottle. If I can continue to get decants of it and large samples, I'm probably okay without a bottle. Although, if I suddenly hear on the grapevine that it's about to be discontinued or disappearing or harder to get, I might consider a bottle. I might look for a partial, but that's always the way to go. But anyway, the point is that it smells to my nose like it hasn't really changed too much from the perfume I remember from about 5 years ago. Having said that, there are some pretty good clones, inspirations of Noir out on the market. Some of them very affordable, like the Armaf Club de Nuit Intense for Women. There's also a perfume called Argent that's made by Baudelaire the Victorious, and that is an expensive version, albeit a lovely one, but it is very, very heavily inspired by Noir by Tom Ford. The next sample that I wore, this one I smelled very briefly last year at Extrait in Milan, and I wanted to get a sample of this one because I had a good impression of it back then, and I got a sample of this perfume, the very popular number 5 Floral Amber Musk by Rosendo Mateu. And this is in frag head communities online, a very, very popular perfume. I believe that number 5 is probably one of the most popular ones from the line. My initial impressions after wearing it for a day was I kind of get why it's popular. It's quite different. Yes, it is a floral amber musk. The interesting thing about it was, for me, that there was aspects about it that actually reminded me of a perfume I used to love, that I used to own as well. There's an accord in this perfume that very much reminded me of Bulgari Black and it is that rose, the slight rose, combined with this rubbery vanilla feel that is definitely in number five's DNA. It is a different perfume, but I couldn't help but be reminded of Bulgari Black when I was wearing it. So it was a pleasant wear. I will continue to use my sample, maybe my again, just repeating myself, these were all first full wears. So it didn't light me up in any way, but I also didn't dislike wearing it. So this one is going to need a little bit more time as far as I'm concerned. The next one was one that I've been wanting to try for years and years. I'd heard about it really when I first started getting into perfume. Back then, going back to Tom Ford, Tobacco Vanille was probably the most popular sweet tobacco perfume on the market. But a lot of people would mention Tabac Rouge from Phaedon, and I was really pleasantly surprised by this perfume. There were aspects about Tobacco Vanille that I didn't enjoy, that stopped me from really appreciating that perfume. And they were mainly the fact that from my memory, the clove, the spice in Tobacco Vanille was a little bit overpowering. It became too vanilla-y as it dried down to me, and there just wasn't enough of the tobacco to my nose that I could smell. Whereas Tabac Rouge basically is blended in such a way that I get much less spice. I get much more of that lovely, dry, dusty tobacco, and the sweetness in this perfume is just right on the line of being perfectly balanced for that type of perfume for me. So in terms of that style of sweet tobacco perfume, Tabac Rouge really hits the spot. Whether I would get a bottle of this or not, really it is more to do with the fact that I am seldomly in the mood to wear that type of perfume. But if I ever change my tastes and my habits in perfume wearing, I would probably choose Tabac Rouge as my sweet tobacco of choice and let it sit in my wardrobe as that particular scent profile. The last two perfumes I'm going to talk about, one is my favorite from this group of samples that I've been trying, and this particular one is another one that I had heard lots about, very, very popular amongst people I trust. And I was just really curious to smell it and see what it was like. And this one is from Miller Harris. This is L'air de Rien. And it was really, really interesting because I'm actually wearing it today. And I did not... Just reading reviews and looking at note pyramids really didn't give me a sense of what to expect on my skin. And I was really pleasantly surprised because there were aspects of it that actually reminded me of a few perfumes that I really, really enjoyed. The first thing I noticed when I sprayed it on was that there was this mossiness about it that was very reminiscent to me of the mossiness that I find in The Afternoon of a Forme by Etat Libre d'Orange, which is one of my favourite perfumes. Then on top of that, you have this slightly dirty musk. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a full-blown animalic musk, but the musk was kind of Kiehl's original musk, just dialed down a notch or two, combined with that mossiness, created this really interesting combination that I don't think I'd smelled anymore. As it dried down, the really interesting thing was that there was there was something I was smelling, an accord or a particular note I was smelling that was definitely familiar to me, and I had smelled it before in something I'd worn and had previously. And I just could not remember what it was. And as I'm wont to do, I go to sites like Perfume or Fragrantica and have a look at what people are saying this perfume is also similar to. And I was scrolling across because I knew that I would think as soon as I saw a perfume that I knew, it would click, and I saw it. And this didn't get many votes in terms of being similar for, but it was there. Someone else must have had the same thought as me, and it's Etruscan Water by Francesca Bianchi, and there is an accord right in the dry down that whatever ingredients these two perfumes are using, I'm almost convinced it's exactly the same. And I really like Etruscan Water, and L'air de Rien also has this accord. So to me, it's been a really nice wear today, wearing this particular perfume, and I am now very keen to wear it again, and it's tentatively going on my bottle wish list. Unfortunately, it appears to be in limited distribution. I don't know what's going on. We in Australia do have a stockist for Miller Harris, but they don't have that particular perfume available to buy online. And when I do searches online, it appears there's not many places, or I couldn't find one place where I could potentially order a bottle from. So L'air de Rien is my favourite of these samples. The last one I'm going to talk about is, again, a very popular perfume in the Eau de Parfum version. I happen to have a sample of the Extrait version, which is considerably more expensive. There might be some differences between each concentration, but this sample is Gris Charnel by BDK Parfums. Look, it's a perfectly pleasant, well put together perfume, but I could not help when I was wearing this perfume and sniffing my skin, I could not help but think why anyone would pay the prices that this particular perfume is sold at when they could get, and I'm saying it very clearly now, I'm not saying that these are the same perfume or they're copies of each other, but when you can get something like Dior Homme Intense, I'm not sure why you would go for something like Gris Chanel Extrait at least. It is that type of scent profile. The iris comes through. Yes, the opening is probably there are some slightly different notes there, but ultimately, to me, it's that type of perfume. So I personally would debate with myself why I would need to spend all that extra money when I could find a perfectly good bottle of Dior Homme Intense. They are my first impressions, first wears of these samples. I've got more samples to wear in the next week or so, and I might do another video again talking about those perfumes. But I just thought I'd give my thoughts on these 5 particular perfumes and what I liked about them. I hope you found that interesting, and please comment below in the video if you've tried any of them, what your thoughts are on any of the perfumes as well. I would be interested to know. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.